Hi everyone, today in this video I'm doing some exercises for frozen shoulder. I'm going to be showing you some gentle exercises for the first phase, which is called the freezing phase of frozen shoulder, and then I'm going to be showing you some exercises for the frozen phase, which is the second phase of frozen shoulder, and they are both extremely different phases and need to be managed in the right way because the pain and the symptoms are different, the mobility stages are different, so it's really important to go gentle in the first stage and then build up in the second stage and then the thawing stage at the end. Muscle mass is lost quite soon after frozen shoulder happens, so it is important to start getting that sort of mobility back into the arm and building up the muscle, but these exercises should help with that. I have had bilateral frozen shoulder for 9 months now, and these are some of the things that I've learned since I've gone along with it. This was about 5 months ago. I really struggled to have any mobility in my shoulder. I'll talk to you at the end of the video about where my mobility is at now and a few tips and hints about how you can manage the inflammation with diet and a few little tweaks and changes just to lifestyle really. This frozen shoulder has really affected me and it has affected my MS as well, and so I want to share these videos in case anybody out there might have multiple sclerosis and go through a similar thing to me, but equally it's for anybody that finds these videos, has frozen shoulder and hasn't got a clue what to do about it, just like I did. I've just put this information together to hopefully help you out. There are two aspects to exercise. First, there is stretching, and second, there is strengthening. The timing at which both these exercises are done is very important, and that's because frozen shoulder has got different phases, and dependent on which phase you're in is dependent on what you need for your shoulder. The first phase is the freezing stage, and this is a crucial time to start a gentle stretching regime. And gentle really is the operative word here, because your shoulder is likely to be extremely inflamed, very, very painful at the beginning of this stage. But gentle stretching of the capsule 3 to 5 times a day stops the adhesions getting too tight in that shoulder area. The first exercise is capsular stretching. This important exercise is best done gently in between the other treatment sessions that you're going to be doing. This is started off as a passive exercise before you add any weights to it. It's very simple, but it is easy to get wrong, so if you just follow along with the instructions. So you bend forward at the waist and you let the bad arm just hang and drop towards the floor under its own weight, and you'll feel a sense of tugging and traction in the shoulder joint, and that's what you want. You can use your other hand to support you on a chair if that's easier. You want to move your body to move your shoulder joint, not your arm. So it's the body that you're moving to get that shoulder joint movement. You can use this to swing gently backwards and forwards or rock in small and medium-sized circles. Do about 15 repetitions of these, and you can ice after the session to help with any pain relief. Shoulder shrugging can be performed about 5 times a day for about 2 to 5 minutes, and this is a really, really good way to mobilise the shoulder joints and to help with any stiffness in the joints there, which you will experience with frozen shoulder. You can move the shoulders at the same time, or you can decide to move them independent of each other. It just depends where your pain is and what's easier for you. If we stand upright and then shrug our shoulders up as high as we can and keep them there for about 8 seconds, and then let the shoulders drop, and then squeeze the shoulders down to the floor. And release, and give your shoulders a little shake off. Now we're going to do shoulder rotations, and this is the last exercise of the first phase of the freezing stage of frozen shoulder. So we're going to stand upright, keep the hands by the side and rotate the shoulders in a circular motion. You can do as many of these as you want, but I would probably say about 15. Change the direction. And it's up to you whether you want to do just your bad arm, but I would suggest to do 2. And because I've got bilateral frozen shoulder, it's better for me to do 2 anyway. So you will have a good understanding when you're approaching the end of the first freezing phase and you're going into like the frozen phase, because your night pain reduces significantly, things tend to dampen down, there is an indication that there is less inflammation in the shoulder, and it's at this point where it's now time to sort of step up the exercise program by adding in slightly deeper capsule stretches and also adding weights to the exercise regime. So that's what we'll be moving on to. So we're going to be working with a weight to be able to build that muscle which we have lost during the frozen phase, where there's no mobility in the arm and you're really just not using it, and we need to build those muscles up again. So you are just doing the same thing again with the weight, but this time you're adding some exercises where you're going out to the side, and these are going to be very difficult when you first start. You can also move it forward. And you can do the pull-up exercise as well. And they look so simple, but when you've got the muscle loss that you'll have after a frozen shoulder, they are not easy. And honestly, you'll want to keep this weight to a real minimum. I've got 1K because I've been doing it for quite some time now, but you'll want to start off with even half of this, because you don't want to set yourself back and realise that you're in more pain because you're just putting so much stress on your muscles. So start off with something very light and manageable for you. Only do a few repetitions when you first start, say maybe 5, and then see how you go from there. The next exercise is one that I was given in physiotherapy. So because my shoulder had reached the frozen stage and I was losing so much muscle mass, we needed to build that up. So this is a really good exercise to strengthen the muscle, give it a little bit of mobility and just help it along its way to get used to being used. So if you start off lifting the weight up directly in front of you, and then you take the weight back as far as you can. At this point, because the shoulder joint is almost locked in place, you will get some resistance, which is normal, and you'll also get a lot of fatigue. So your arm will start shaking, which it's doing now, but that's normal and that's okay. And then you just bring it back over this way, and you're literally just doing this for less than a minute, and then you can rock it backwards and forwards very slowly. Feel the fatigue, make the muscles work, and bring it back again, and then you want to bring it down and up and let that bicep and triceps work, because again they have wasted away and they need to start regaining usage. And you can do as many repetitions as you want. Please start slowly and please use a very light weight. I know people want to go gung-ho and I know people want results quickly, but Rome wasn't built in a day. I'm going to add resistance bands into this video because it was something that I was shown from my physiotherapist. I'm in the freezing stage with this shoulder, and I'm in the, I think, sort of frozen / thawing stage with this one. So this one's more painful, but this one can take the resistance band a lot more than it could when I was actually showing it in the freezing stage. But I would suggest that these bands are used in the frozen stage or the thawing stage. These are really, really good. You can get different levels. I bought these on Amazon. The yellow one I'm still actually using because it's like a beginner's band. It's very, very easy, lightweight and easy to use. Not great if you've got bilateral frozen shoulder because obviously you lose your external rotation, but that's what you want to try and get back with the band. So the exercise that you want to do is you hold whichever shoulder you want to pull out, you keep the other one taut and you pull the other one in that direction. Not sure if you can see, but that's coming out. So that's about as far as my external rotation goes. And then you bring it back in. You want to hold it for about 8 to 10 seconds if you can, but the muscles are very weak and they're very painful, and that's not easy to do. So if you can only even hold it for 1 second, then 1 second is better than nothing. And then you want to rest and then do it again. Bring it back in. If you can do about 10 repetitions of those and then swap to the other arm. I'm still actually struggling with this arm just because I really have absolutely no external rotation in this arm. You can use a door handle if you've got two frozen shoulders like me, because it's not always easy gripping them together. So you just tie one end onto the door handle and then you would pull with the other hand. There are other exercises that I could have added in here, but I don't want to do too much because, to be honest, I feel like you can overload your shoulder with exercises, so I can put more out in time. Those are actually just really good ones to start off with, and if I'm being honest, the gentle ones for the freezing phase are perfect because that's all you want is something gentle. And then you really don't want to go gung-ho when you get into the frozen stage, and even the thawing stage. You still want to try and get some mobility and strength and muscle mass back in, but you still want to do it at a good pace. Another thing that I incorporate into my diet is the turmeric and curcumin and ginger. That's a 2,600 milligram strength. That's really good to decrease inflammation if you want anything which is just natural. I also take in my Celtic salt and make sure that the fluids are all topped up and hydrated, because people with frozen shoulder lose a lot of synovial fluid from their joint. I think an average person who doesn't have frozen shoulder has something like 4.5 mils of synovial fluid, and then someone who has frozen shoulder goes down to about 2 mils or 2.5 mils, so they lose a lot of fluid in their shoulder. It's really important to just keep hydrated, keep the joints hydrated, stop eating so much refined sugar, cut down on all of that kind of processed food and anything that's going to cause an inflammatory reaction in your body, and start eating healthy things. Get lots of fruit and vegetables, strawberries, pineapple, all the anti-inflammatory things that you can possibly get into that gut and into your body. Just try and help dampen that inflammation down, because that's basically what it is. It's an autoimmune reaction, and that's causing inflammation in the shoulder and causing real pain and immobility. I'm going through the stages. That's not to say that I don't have pain in my shoulders, because I do. You can also see just standing that my shoulder hangs differently to this one. This tucks nicely into my hip, this one doesn't, and my range of mobility has still a long way to go. That's about as far as it will go, and it's still quite painful. That one, I think, as I said, is in the thawing stage. This one is in the freezing. It's very painful to lift up, very painful to do anything with, to be quite honest. So I am getting myself prepared for this to freeze the same as this one, but I'm ready for it now. I know what to go through. So I'm really hoping that the exercises that I've provided for you will provide some relief and some help through those really horrible, painful times. Don't forget the heat in the early stages. It's vital. Your body will probably crave it. And then don't forget to ice as well if you need some pain relief. Good luck with it all, and I really hope that your frozen shoulder journey is not too painful for you.